So good evening. Welcome to class. I'm glad that you guys are here. And I am praying and hoping that my computer is going to cooperate with me. I don't know if any of you guys are techie, but there's like this phantom little box on my screen. And obviously you guys can't see it. But it's like there's nothing there, but you can see like the outline of a box. And I've tried restarting. I've tried doing Alt, open the task manager, but with Alt Control Delete. But for whatever reason, this little shadow of a box, and it's right where my controls are for the microphone, for the camera, and to advance my PowerPoint. So don't know what, but it's been there like since yesterday. So apparently my computer's tired too. I don't know, but I've even restarted, which is, supposed to be the fail-safe to fix everything. But anyway, it failed. So if I'm struggling, I apologize. So good evening. Welcome to class. Aside from technical issues, it's going to be a great night. I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm looking forward to a great semester. I'm looking forward to learning alongside you. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to class. Hopefully, I caught each of you as you walked through our doorway. If I missed you, I do apologize. That was absolutely not my intent. And I think I recognize a few names on here. A few of these names that I'm seeing look familiar. So I think some of you I may have seen or met before. Not positive, but some of these names I think are a little unique, and I think I've seen them before. So if I'm correct, welcome back. So absolutely, Stephanie, absolutely. So every night when you log on, I will have the agenda posted. My goal is to be in class online 30 minutes before class starts, so that way if anybody has any questions, I can answer that. Today I've been tied up. We've been doing marathon. I've done marathon interviews all day today. We've interviewed for our behavior program, our extended behavior support program at the elementary level, and we've been interviewing educational assistants, behavior interventionist, sped teacher, and gen ed teacher. So started at 7:30, and I walked out of the building a little after 4 and had to get completely across town to get back to the house to get logged on for tonight because they're going to lock up the building, so I couldn't stay there and teach. So I apologize for not being on here a little bit earlier and for things being a little bit rushed. I'm looking forward to being with you guys. So every night when we come together, like I said, the agenda will be posted. And then one of the other things that we're going to do every night is I will pause for a moment and stop talking and give you all an opportunity to share. If there's anything at all, I'd like to try to create a sense of class community, even though we are scattered hither, yither, and yon. So every night when we come together, I will give you an opportunity if there's anything that is a class that you all would like to share with the group. And it could be whether it's, hey, Haley, welcome to class. It could be a weather report. Somebody said that we've got storms in their area, so please be safe, Christina. I'm hoping that everything is okay there. So it could be a weather report, could be a celebration, could be a prayer request. Anything at all that you all want to share with the class. I will pause for a moment, and then we will jump into our agenda. And normally on the first night, people don't share a lot, but if you have something to share, absolutely. But I've kind of come to expect that class is going to be quiet on the first night. You guys are filling out the class, you're filling me out, trying to figure out exactly who we are, what's going on, and what this whole thing is going to look like, what it's going to act like, what it's going to smell like, all those other things. So completely understand. All right, so we've got a lot to talk about tonight, you guys. We have a whole lot. I'm Carolyn Kennedy, Dr. Carolyn Kennedy, and I will be with you tonight and for the next 7 nights. And so you will see that I posted an agenda for you. We will be doing a Kahoot, and yes, I know it's a grad class, but yes, we will be doing a Kahoot at the end of class to review a few things. No stress. There's a method to my madness, though, because your first assignment, you'll notice, is also a Kahoot. So I incorporated it into our class to make sure that everyone is familiar. Some people are, some people aren't. So I incorporated it. Thank you, Anne-Marie. So I incorporated it in so that way I can make sure that you have those skills and you're familiar with it before you have to do it on your own as a major assignment. So if you don't already have the Kahoot app on your phone, you might want to add it. Not required. You could also just, when we get to that point near the end of the night, do a split screen on your computer, because I'll be giving the verbal cues and also the questions posted on screen. What you see when you log on is just simply the colors. If you've never played, you don't have any of the verbiage. So, or at least not for the answer. So all you have is the color. You would either need the app or either to keep the window open so that way you can see what I'm presenting for you. So that way, app and the window. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so you know who the talking head is in front of you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our class is, what our class is not, let you know, our class norms and things that we need to be doing. Hey, Lucretia, welcome back. And we're going to talk about our major assignments, the structure of our class, the major assignments, what we're going to be doing. And of course, answer that question, how do I get my A? How many points do I need? Because I know that those are things that graduate students are definitely concerned with. And we are going to jump straight into chapter 1. So even if you don't have your book, it's okay. I know that Kevin said that he got his book today, so that is awesome. And I do not fault you at all if you haven't even ordered it yet. I remember when I was in class, I'll post it for you here in just a moment, Joseph. We're not actually opening Kahoot until the end, so I'll post the pin for you once we start it. I haven't even started on my end yet, so the pin's not generated. So as far as the book, I remember when I was in class and I never wanted to buy the book until I knew for sure the professor was going to use it, because college books are not cheap, and I definitely didn't want to buy an expensive paperweight if it wasn't going to be used. Not a problem at all, Joseph. I do a great job of derailing my train of thought on my own, so no need for you to apologize. I guarantee you it will happen again just momentarily. So on my own, so don't even apologize. Not a problem at all. So we are going to jump into chapter 1 of the text. Like I said, even if you don't have it, it's okay. Then I will do my best to answer any questions that you might have. There are no stupid questions. There are no dumb questions. Do not hesitate to ask a question. I can't promise I have all the answers, but I will do my best to get them for you if I don't. I will try to be honest with you about everything except for my weight and my age. I will lie to your face about both of those. We will have an exit ticket tonight and every night that we come together. Don't stress. It's okay. I'll explain all of that. So also at the end of your agenda every week, you'll see that I have not only what we're doing tonight, but what you have coming up for next week. So for next week, not the obviously you've got to do our exit ticket from tonight. Read the syllabus if you have not already done so. Read chapters 1 through 3 of our textbook if you have it, and if not, once you receive it. Then there is a discussion board, and I don't remember who it was that asked, but someone had asked about the discussion board. That I finished that video after several takes last night, so it wasn't there before. So she was saying, look before and everything's changed. Not everything, a lot of things, but not everything has changed. Trying to make sure that I update. So I teach the same class every semester, sometimes twice in, 2 nights out of the week every semester for the last several years. But every semester I tweak things a little bit. So it's like, I'll see, well, this didn't work right. Or a lot of the students had questions about XYZ. So then I try to go back in and clarify those things. So I do a lot of tweaking, not a whole lot of necessarily reinventing the wheel, but finding out with what doesn't work and making adjustments as need be, or as new information comes available, or things that I see that I think that we need to share or that we need to discuss. So the discussion board is a video, and it is a very specific process for posting that, but there's a method to the madness. So I will explain once we get to all of that. And then your first major assignment is due next week. I will strongly advise, and I'll pause for effect. I will strongly advise that you read the syllabus carefully before doing that first assignment. There's a nugget of information in there for you. I saw in the news one day, a few months ago, that there was a professor that talked about how none of his students ever read the syllabus. And so he actually had put in the syllabus the location where he had hidden $50. And no, I didn't hide any money. That's not the nugget that's in there. But he had hidden $50, and the location of it was listed in the syllabus. And he said that it never failed. At the end of the semester, the $50 was still there. So there is a piece of information that will assist you with that first assignment in our syllabus. Just a little bit of hopefully incentive and behavior reinforcement to help entice you to go and read that syllabus. We are not doing a syllabus quiz, a syllabus hunt quiz, but there is a piece of a nugget of information in there that you might find useful. So that is our agenda for the night, and that is the structure that you're going to see every night when we log on. I am slightly OCD and even more ADD, and those two things fight constantly. So that's why I was telling Joseph he doesn't have to worry about derailing me. I do a great job of derailing myself. So, yep, that little invisible box is still there. So I'm gonna have to adjust my screen. Let me try this again. I'm gonna have to go small so that it's not at that screen. Still too small. Hold on. I don't know what that little phantom square is, but it's in the way. In the way. Hold on just one second. Let me see. I wish it would let me just reposition the PowerPoint. so that it's not in that, it's like it's following that same location. Hold on. Nope, won't let me do that either. Hold on. Sugar berries. Kind of hard to advance a PowerPoint if there's a phantom square over the one arrow that you've got to be able to press in order to make that happen. But there's always more than one way to win, more than one way to make that work. All right, so I mentioned syllabus quiz. So I'm sure that in several of your classes, I won't say all, but I'm sure that in several of your classes, you on the first night of class, they tell you all about the syllabus hunt quiz. And I don't know if they've told you the origin of that or why that came about, but there is a requirement that you have a graded assignment during the first week. And I don't know that I was fully told the why, but I will tell you what I think is the reason behind it. And I think it has to do with funding and wanting also to make sure that students are actively engaged and not just engaged. So I think by requiring that first graded assignment within a week is a way of looking at whether students have just enrolled or they're actually engaged in class. However, the syllabus hunt quiz, or the syllabus scavenger hunt, thank you, long day, sorry. The syllabus scavenger hunt is not necessarily the requirement. It was just an easy thing to add when that requirement came up all of a sudden for professors to have a graded assignment during the first week. So, because obviously we want students to read. So I planted a piece of information in mine instead. So instead of having another assignment, for our class, you will have our exit ticket. So that will count as our first graded assignment for our first week. So I don't drop you from class. And however, I need to make sure I'm required to let you know that there is a possibility, not guaranteed, but there is a possibility that if you don't have a graded assignment within the first week, that you may be dropped from class. So I'm letting you know, please do the exit ticket. It's not hard, I promise. All right, and you're probably wondering, so what is this exit ticket? So your exit ticket for this week is going to consist of, and every week they're different, but for this week it's going to consist of 5 questions that we're going to discuss tonight in class. So the 5 questions are, how many field hours are required for this course? Yes, there's field hours. We'll talk about that. And I probably won't be your favorite person after we talk about that, but it's okay. There's a method to the madness, I promise. What's the form that we use to submit those hours and to document those hours? What are the major course assignments? What needs to be done before next week? And will I, or I guess I should say, could I be dropped from this class if I do not complete the university's requirement of a completed graded assignment during the first week of class? So those are our 5 questions. You don't have to know them yet because we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through that. And at the end of class, we're going to Kahoot to review those 5 questions. So that's what our Kahoot's going to be. So if you notice on that first agenda page that your first assignment is a Kahoot, and you're probably thinking, really? I'll explain that too. But like I said, I wanted to make sure that everyone is familiar with Kahoot. So that's why we're incorporating it in our class tonight as we review for our exit ticket. So I'll explain all of that for you. So like I said, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the talking head in front of you, since you're going to have me sitting in front of you tonight and the next 7 Tuesdays for an hour and a half each night. Some nights we'll get out early, but we've got a lot to talk about. So, and like I said, I'm all over the place, but I'm a work in progress. So like I said, I'm Dr. Carolyn Kennedy, and I will be learning alongside you for this semester. A little bit about me as a person. I'm married to an awesome person, awesome man, and we have been married for quite some time, and he still spoils me, not necessarily with things, but just spoils me, and I love that. I'm definitely the baby of the family, so I'm used to being spoiled just a little bit, just a skosh. Like I said, not necessarily with things, just in general. We have 3 children, 3 awesome children. My oldest is about to be 32. My baby, my 6'1" baby, is a senior in high school this year. So yeah, that's my baby. So he's graduated from high school in less than a month now. So at the end of this month, he will be graduating. So kind of trying to come to grips with that. You know, the whole idea that my baby is graduating from high school. I have 2 grandchildren, and I spoil them rotten. And my daughter, but you know, that's my job. And I think I do it well. The youngest one's birthday was yesterday, so she just turned 6 yesterday. The oldest one will be 8 in October. So, and then we have 2 fur babies. Somehow or another, So we've had one dog now for almost 4 years, but somehow or another, when COVID hit, I think we had been, quarantined for too long, and I don't think we were thinking straight. Somehow in 2020, we allowed my son to convince us that our dog needed a friend, and he brought home a moose. So, well, a moose of a dog. So in this picture here, that first picture, that is my oldest daughter and my two precious grandbabies. And yes, I'm one of those grandmothers. Sorry, you're going to hear about them. In the middle there, that is my middle daughter who lives in Florida because she loves the beach. And then that other picture at the top, that's my baby, my football player, my 6'1", full beard baby. Down there at the bottom, that's a little bit older picture. That's our whole family together. Thank you. And then in the middle there, those are my dogs. Like I said, the first one that we've had was a black and white one. And my son brought home, I call him my moose, the big one. He's about 75, 78 pounds, full puppy, has no concept of how big he is or how strong he is. So he thinks he's a lap dog, and he's not. And then that other picture is a picture of my husband and I on a rare date night. It doesn't happen often. And then these are my angels. These are my angels. They call me Nani. So mommy, like mommy, but with N, so Nonny. And they call my husband Pop Pop. And so they say, Nani, please. What are you going to do? So I'd say about 8.9 times out of 10, as long as it's not dangerous, as long as it's not going to hurt them, But anyway, so those are my babies and my family. My dad is Pop Pop. Oh, awesome, Emily. Thank you. That's what my kids call their grandma, Nani. So at one point, I had thought about the whole idea of going by Grand Diva. But I said, everybody's like, what is that? I said, so if I've got to explain it every time, then never mind. So we stuck with Nani. So my background, when I first went to college, I was absolutely going to be an accountant. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Like I said, I'm OCD, and I love the idea. I mean, it's like, when my debits, when I could balance that spreadsheet, find that missing penny, it was like, wow, so I loved it. So I was absolutely going to be an accountant. So I had gone to college. I was actually I was at Prairie View University for a while in Texas, which is where I grew up. And I was going to be an accountant until I got to cost accounting, and cost accounting kicked my behind, so issues, and my lunch money. And I also found out that my plan wasn't his plan, and accounting wasn't where I was meant to be. While I was in college, I had to work. So I worked as an instructional assistant and also as a substitute teacher, and ended up in a long-term substitute position in a program called Content Mastery back in El Paso, Texas. So Content Mastery, the students were in the gen ed setting and for direct instruction, and then came down to me in the lab for help with accommodations, to have assignments read to them aloud, to have a different environment to work in, to be able to have some additional support, one-on-one support needed. So that was my first foray into special education. And like I said, that was a long-term placement. And I was hired there at that school. And like I said, my plan, I found out wasn't his plan. And so plans change. And never looked back, never looked back. So my background is special education, but my first degree is in business management, much like Kentucky has the rank program. So I did alternative certification. So at that point, it was a whole lot quicker and easier for me to go ahead and finish my degree in business than to start from the beginning in a degree in education. So I finished my degree in business at Park University, but on the military base. I'm an Army brat. And so we lived in El Paso, Texas, which is right near Fort Bliss. And so I attended classes at Fort Bliss. They were structured much like UC, which I loved. The semesters were 8 weeks long. So like I said, my attention is short. I didn't want 16 weeks. I'd much rather thrive in, the shorter setting of 8 weeks. So Park University, finished my bachelor's degree. Then I went to UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso. It's not listed here because I didn't get a degree from there. I went there just for my certification coursework, my education coursework, but it wasn't a degree. It just culminated in certification. And then I ended up getting moved from Texas to Tennessee with my husband. And so ended up getting my master's in education at Tusculum, and then my doctorate at East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. I now live in Clarksville, Tennessee. So for those of you that are in Kentucky, which I'm assuming most, not all, but I'm assuming most of you are, if you're familiar with Hopkinsville, I'm not far from Hoptown. And then we're right here at Fort Campbell, the military base. So Fort Campbell, of course, straddles the state line between Kentucky and Tennessee. And then I'm about 45 minutes from Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm between Fort Campbell and Nashville, just to give you a frame of reference for where Clarksville is. And so I work for the Clarksville Montgomery County School System. My fiance got her master's at ETSU. Awesome, Nathan. Small world, small world. ETSU is the first place I ever heard of that you could actually get a degree in storytelling. So Jonesboro, Tennessee is right there adjacent to Johnson City. And I believe, well, at least I was told, I haven't done the research for myself, but I was told that Jonesboro is the oldest place for storytelling, or the national storytelling, something or another. But at ETSU, you can actually get a degree in storytelling. I had no idea. But so my background, like I said, is special education, and I've taught in elementary, grades K through 4. Yes, they have a museum there too. Absolutely, Kelsey. Absolutely, yes. I've taught elementary SPED, K through 4. I've taught middle school. So in elementary, I taught behavior mod, a program that they call behavior mod. I work with children with emotional and behavioral challenges. In middle school, I have taught resource, I've taught inclusion, and I've taught behavior mod, or again, students with emotional and behavioral struggles. In high school, I have taught inclusion and modified math. I have also worked in a residential facility, and that residential facility serves students in grades 6 through 12, and back then we were still working on GED prep, and those were students. It was an all-girl facility. I worked for the school system, but within the residential facility, so that was fun, trying to marry those two organizations together and work within their confines and their organization, their rules, and yeah, definite opportunities for growth, and we'll leave it at that. But those were my girls there were placed, they were in DCS custody, either because of violating juvenile probation or things of that nature. And so I worked there, like I said, for a few years. And then I also I was an administrator. I was an assistant principal at the elementary level. I was a principal at the elementary level. I was a principal at an alternative school that served middle school and high school. And then I was also an assistant principal at the high school for the past 5.5 years, up until January. So I now work at central office for Clarksville Montgomery County School System as one of their elementary coordinators for special populations. So that's kind of my background, and then also adjunct, obviously for UC. I've also taught adjunct before for ETSU a few years back, or several years back. So the interesting thing is I taught every grade, kindergarten through graduate level, except for 5th grade. And the strange thing is that 5 is my favorite number. Go figure. No rhyme or reason, just thought it was interesting, thought it was odd. As I said, I do work for the school system here in Clarksville full-time, so I am adjunct for UC. I'm not full-time, so I do not have on-campus office hours. Like I said, my goal is to be online for you guys 30 minutes before class. Tonight it was probably about 15 minutes before class. And then I will stay online after class until the last person stops asking questions. So someone's logged on, but I'm not, are you there? Are you there? And nobody's responding. I'm gonna go ahead and log off and eat dinner. But if you've got questions, I'll stay with you. Stay online and do what I can to answer those questions. So best way to get me is to text me. However, I will probably not answer during the work day, during the day, because I'm working with kiddos or with teachers. And so, but I will return those texts afterwards. I will tell you that because of the nature of the world that we live in now, if you haven't texted me first for me to know that you're calling me, I might not answer the phone, because if it's a number I don't recognize, with the amount of your extended warranty is about to expire. No, yeah, and all of those wonderful robocalls that we get, I've just gotten to the point where I typically don't answer a phone call if I don't know the number. So if you need to call me, I'm not saying you can't. And Marie says, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not saying you can't call me. I'm just saying text me first and let me know. But if it's during the school day, I won't call you until after work anyway. But text me and say, hey, can you give me a call, or, when you get a chance or whatever. And I will do my best to get back to you. I will be completely transparent. I struggle with email, not with the fact that I don't know how to make it work, the fact that there's too much of it and I don't get it into my day. So please know that I'm not intentionally ignoring you. And yes, I do know that that's a personal fault of my own, and I'm working on it. but I'm being completely honest with you. I am a work in progress when it comes to my email. So texting me is probably going to be the quickest way to get a hold of me. That doesn't mean don't email me. That just means text me and tell me to check my email. That means that I will do my best. But I am, like I said, completely transparent with you guys. I'm not the best when it comes to email. Just letting you know up front. So don't take it personal. It's a me issue, not a you issue. So let's talk about a little bit about what our class is and what it's not. So the good thing about an online class, at least for me, so like I said, I won't tell you my age, but I will tell you that when I got my degree, there wasn't online classes, at least not typical. I'm sure, University of Phoenix existed, but it wasn't the norm when I got my degree. So I remember always the first night of class or the first day of class about, making sure I'm in the right building, in the right classroom. The good thing about an online class is if you're not supposed to be here, you wouldn't have access to the class. So at least we don't have to worry about that. So obviously you're all in the right place. So bienvenidos, welcome to class. Like I said, I'm glad that you're here and I'm looking forward to a great semester of learning alongside you. So the text for tonight, I have been trying to get a copy from the university of the text, and then they supposedly sent me a link for electronic. Pearson, didn't happen. So what you're probably finding is the 10th edition, and so you're probably going to ask me, why does everything you have say the 9th edition? An ebook is fine, Erin, and I might have to, and I hate to say this, and I know you guys are probably thinking, get over it, but as a professor, I'm not used to having to buy my own textbooks, so because I never used to have to, but I guess I might have to. So I still have the 9th edition is what I have. But the 9th edition, from my understanding from my last couple of classes, the 9th edition and the 10th edition are very similar. I haven't had any students who said that they ran into issues where the information that they needed was not there. So I think we're okay in that that regard. But like I said, I think I might have to just go ahead and break down who found it for the cheapest, not renting it, but actually purchasing it. Who found it for the cheapest? Because if I'm going to get it, I don't want to rent it because, like I said, I teach the class every semester, every bi-term. Did anybody buy or did everybody just rent it? Gotcha. So everybody rented it. Yep. Hey, Elizabeth, welcome to class. All right. So I guess I'll have to do my homework. I was hoping that somebody tonight could tell me that they bought it ebook, but it lets you print it. So, but Kelly, isn't that like 50,000 pages? How many pages was that? Because if I can rent it and print it, about 400. I guess that might be worth it. That might be worth it. I guess I could print it and put it in a binder. I'm just so old-fashioned. I like a book. I like a book. But anyway, I know I'm old school. Hey, Idella, welcome back. Hopefully I said your name right. If I did not, Idella, let me know. But welcome back. I know you were here and apparently got kicked out, but welcome back. Glad that you made it.
Thank you. You said it right.
Awesome. Thank you, Idella. Thank you for letting me know. So that's the information about the text, and you might be wondering, do you need it? I will tell you that the PowerPoints that I use come straight from Pearson, so they're based on the text, and the quizzes that I use come straight from Pearson, so they are based on the text as well. So they are text-based. Of course, we add to it and we, discuss a few other things. And also, if you have not yet taken your PLTs, the praxis that goes over educational psychology, the first chapter of this textbook, goldmine of information. If you have not yet taken, I think it's the PLTs. It's been a moment since I've taken mine, and back when I did it, anyway, we won't go with what they were called back then because they're not called the same thing now. But whatever test you have to take, the praxis that addresses educational psychology, chapter 1 of this book, you might want to print that part at least. Great resource. All right, so moving along. So this PowerPoint will be available for you after class. So at the bottom of our content page, and you can't see it yet because I have it invisible. So at the bottom of our content page, you will see that I've got for you, or you will, like I said, it's not there yet, but you will find a folder for each week will populate as the weeks go by. So week one will populate at the end of class tonight. In that, you will find tonight's PowerPoint. So I'm not going to read to you the purpose of our class. No, Elizabeth, class starts at 6. Class starts at 6 and is over at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. 6 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I'm not going to read to you what the purpose of our class is. I'll let you read that on your own. Instead, what I'm going to tell you is what it's not. So our class is Classroom and Behavior Management for Special Student Populations. And the name of our text is Applied Behavior Analysis. Hey, welcome back, Miranda. Applied Behavior Analysis for Teachers, ABA for Teachers. But the purpose of our class is not that in the 8 weeks that we're together for 90 minutes at a pop, you will not be a certified ABA therapist. You won't be a BCBA. You won't be a behavior guru. You won't be in our 8 weeks together. Like I said, I've been teaching the class for years. Well, hey Marie, welcome back. I've been teaching the class. Not a problem, Miranda. Not a problem at all. I've been teaching the class for years. Not a problem, Elizabeth. I don't know where, you'd have to let me know where it is that you saw 6:30. But I've been teaching the class for years. Like I said, I've taught elementary behavior mod, I've taught middle school behavior mod, I've taught in the residential facility on the communication. When we go to open the class, it says 6:30.
Dr. Kennedy, it's where, like, when you go to connect to the class, it says
right.
6:30 to 9:15 is the time.
So it's probably based on the time zone. It's probably an issue of time zone. So hold on a second. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I have put in because I'm in Eastern Standard Time. So I actually have it set from 5:30 to 8:15. So when I log on, so my time right now is 5:30 is what it is right here where I am. So it's a matter of, oh my goodness, did I just lose you guys? Hold on a second. No, there it is. Sorry. I've got way too many tabs open. It does say in progress, but I went by this. The syllabus says that? Hold on a second. The syllabus should be correct. You heard me say should, right?
No, it says just on the communication tab, it says 6:30, but like I went by it said in progress, the class was in progress, but it said it started at 6:30, but I just went by the syllabus and the fact that it said in progress.
Okay, now my syllabus says 6 to 7:30.
Right, the syllabus is correct, and everything else is correct, but just on the communication tab, it says 6:30.
The problem with iLearn is it's based on, I wish that it was stagnant instead of adjusting, and I wish that it told you what time zone it was. So like I said, I've got it set from me, 5:30 to 8:15. And so for you, that's showing up as 6:30 to 9:15. You see it? So that's the problem, is the time zone. Yeah, that's the problem. But I'm glad that you made it. So yeah, I'm not angry. I'm not mad. I'm glad you made it. So thank you all. And so I'll have to figure out what's the best way to do that. I could go ahead and reset it back to 4:30, which would show up, I guess, at the right time for you guys then. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll change it. So that way, but then again, for people who are in a different time zone, then they might be sitting in class for an hour before. But anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. But it's 6 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time. Or no, yeah, Eastern Standard Time, I'm sorry. Now I'm going crazy. So focus. So purpose of the class, like I said, you will not be a behavior specialist in the class. Like I said, even with the different experiences and opportunities that I've had to work with children in all kinds of various settings and the years that I've been teaching the class, I don't consider myself a behavior specialist or a behavior therapist. I'm not, I haven't taken a class to certify myself as I've thought about it. But one of those things, sometimes, if you've got that certification, then they don't let you out of that realm. So just saying, it's hard to find people who are, it's hard to find those people. So once you're in that realm, it's kind of like being in stereocast and, as an actress or an actor, once you're in that typecast, then you can't get out. But anyway, so you might be thinking, so why are you teaching this class if you're not a behavior specialist, if you're not a behavior therapist? The purpose isn't that you become a behavior specialist. The purpose is that you have a strong foundational understanding of how to observe student behavior, how to collect data based on that behavior, how to look at that data, and how to develop a plan to how to intervene on behalf of that student to bring about a positive change in their behavior so that they can be successful without us. Because that's the goal. The goal is for our kiddos to not need us. Kind of like our parent, us as parents. Our goal is to raise our children upright, to give them, hey, Destiny, welcome to class. Give them the roots that they need so they can spread their wings. That's our goal, right? Is eventually we're going to have to push them out of the nest. Same thing with our kiddos at school. Our goal is for them not to need us. So our purpose is how do we get them there? Looking at the supports that we can put in place, looking at a functional behavior assessment, a behavior intervention plan, which is a culminating assignment for our class, and looking at how do we help our students to be successful on their own, to self-regulate, to self-instruct, to self-monitor the behavior, to provide their own reinforcement, their own punishment if necessary, and how do we get them to be able to manage their own behavior so that they don't need someone else to do it for them. That's our goal. And so my purpose for you, or my goal for you, is that at our end of our last night together, when I say take care and God bless, and I won't see you next week, my goal for you is that you have a strong foundational understanding. You can sit in an IP meeting when they start talking about FBAs and BIPs, you understand what they're talking about. When they start talking about the function of behavior, when they start talking about the replacement behavior, when they start talking about de-escalation strategies, that you know what they're talking about. It's not about having all of the answers. It's about having a foundational understanding, so that way you can work on a team, as a team, to meet the needs for the students. You shouldn't develop an FBA in isolation. I stress the word shouldn't, because I know in a lot of districts that does fall to one person to do, and that's not the way it should be. Just as an IEP team comes together to write, or at least to review and approve the IEP, a team should be working on the FBA and BIP as well. And you're probably gonna say, well, then why am I doing it by myself for this class? Because it's a learning experience. Just had to do one. So like I said, Kevin, should, but I know it happens. I've done many myself, solo, but like I said, it shouldn't be. It should definitely be a group effort. So like I said, purpose of the course, I'm not reading that. Like I told you, I'm just slightly OCD, just slightly. So of course I've drafted class norms for us. And so the things that I'm proposing are that we begin and end on time. So if you notice, like I said, my goal is to be online 30 minutes before class, but definitely by the time class starts. If I'm not, that means I got stuck in traffic somewhere between central office and back at my house, or, you know, the sky is falling, something crazy is going on, accident on the interstate, something. I don't expect you to, I mean, if you can wait for me 10 minutes, but I don't expect you to wait more than that. So if I'm not here by 10 minutes after the time that class is supposed to start, so they actually have it listed as 6:01 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know why the 01. So by 6:11, if I'm not here, log off, you're good. Not your problem, my problem. And so I'll have to get us caught up the next time. I also want to honor your time. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. And let me know, am I pronouncing it correctly? I'm saying Lauren. Let me know if that's not correct. And I also want to honor your time and end on, I go by LR. That works for me. LR. You said my initials, but your last name is K? All right. So I want to end class. Got you. Now I got you. All right. So LR. I got you, Lauren. So I want to honor your time and be respectful of your time. So I will do my best that we end on time. Usually, you know, no more than 2 minutes over. Like I said, I am ADD and I definitely get off topic. It is what it is. But when my kids say, when the students say, but you don't understand, I say, yes, baby, I do. Yes, baby, I do. I completely understand. I resemble that remark. I get it. I understand. But if at the end of class, when it's scheduled time, if we're not finished, if I haven't reached everything on my agenda, again, that's on me. It's not on you. So we will end class and I will do whatever I have to do to get us caught up at a later date. So I want to be respectful of your time. I do ask that you be an active participant. I have no problem completely talking on my own for 90 minutes. I talk in my sleep. I never shut up, all right? So that's not the issue. But the thing is that when we can learn from one another, we're all better for it. So I ask that you be an active participant. I ask that you be prepared for class. And then of course that we ensure that all comments, whether in class or in discussion boards, that all comments are constructive as opposed to destructive. Is there anything in these norms as I've proposed them that you all feel that we need to adjust, discuss, change, add to, or take from? Anything at all? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Seeing no objections, we're going to keep it moving. So class format. Awesome, Elora. I'm glad to hear it. So our class will be a weekly chat session, which is, of course, the structure of UC for grad classes. Like I said, you will have a weekly exit ticket. That exit ticket is how I do your attendance and participation points. Let me say on the front end that I completely understand that you're all adults and that life happens. So if you have to miss, please know that I do understand. I'm not mad at you if you had to miss a class. I did say a class, not all classes. but I'm not going to be mad at you if you had to miss a class. You know, your child is in a recital, or, you know, your child is graduating. I would be upset with you if you were with me instead of with your child at their graduation. Because I can tell you right now, if my child was graduating on Tuesday night, deuces, I'm out. I'm not seeing you guys. So I get that. So you can still make up all the other assignments. The one thing that I don't let you make up is the exit ticket. Let me explain. The exit ticket is your attendance and participation. So even though I'm not upset that you're gone, you can't make up the fact that you didn't attend and you couldn't participate. So exit ticket is worth 5 points. Our total class points possible is 1,000. All right, 1,000. So if you miss a night and aren't able to make up that exit ticket, that's 5 points out of a possible 1,000. So that one night isn't going to sink you. All right. So if there is extenuating circumstances, though, I'm always open to listen to that. Always open to listen to that. But like I said, I completely understand and respect the fact that we are all adults and life happens. Got it. But I also understand that life happens, and if I'm late on my electric bill, not because I couldn't pay it, but because I forgot about it or whatever, I have to pay a penalty when I finally turn it back on. So like I said, so that's a me thing. And so just explaining where that comes from. We will have only 4 discussion boards. And I will tell you that I have intentionally structured the makeup of our class so that the things that it's top heavy. All right. So let me explain what I mean by that. So the majority of your assignments are going to come at the beginning. And then at the end, when you're running out of steam, the load lightens, right? The load lessens. And then you are able to, right? You're able to exhale. You're able to excel. And also by having the majority of the work earlier in the class, you have a better understanding of where you fall grade-wise. So if all those big assignments hit at the end, what happens if we have a oops? Or what happens if there was a question, if there was a mistake, or if there was something that we didn't understand? So I have intentionally front-loaded the class. So when you're looking at, and let me show you. I ran out of ink. So this says on it Spring 1, 2022. And these are dates from January, so I ran out of ink on my printer. But just so you know, I don't use the built-in calendar on iLearn because I'm OCD and I need it my way. So this you will find posted 2 places for you on our iLearn page. One under the Getting Started area, so it's there. And then also on our content page, and it will say course calendar. So on this course calendar, the way that it's structured, yours, of course, won't have the dates on it. I write that in for myself because I need it. Like I said, this I haven't printed one yet because I'm out of toner. So this is my old one from Spring 1. But so it'll say week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, 6, 7, and 8. In this column here, it'll list the topics. It'll list what it is that we're talking about. And in this next column, it will list what is due for the next week. So that way, that's how that is structured. So you always know what's coming next. So if you look at this top part, you're probably thinking, oh my word. But like I said, it is intentionally heavier at the top. And then look down here at the bottom at the end of the semester. Not a whole lot there, right? At the end of the last few weeks. Not a lot there, and we can actually breathe. Absolutely, absolutely, Stephanie. Thank you. So you have 4 discussion boards, but they're the beginning. So weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 are your discussion boards. After week 4, you have no more discussion boards. You have 6 quizzes. Don't stress. They're multiple choice and true false only. And you have 2 opportunities to take every one. And the grade book will keep the higher of the 2 scores. So it's okay. All right. And they are, well, I'm debating. So those, if you looked in there, I know one person said they went back and looked at the assignments. I haven't gone in yet on the test and adjusted the due date sheet from the previous quizzes from the last semester. I'm toying with the idea of taking off the timer. So I'm toying with that. Although I've never had anyone, even when I've had students who had an accommodation for extended time, I've never had anyone say that they've ran out of time. So I'm still toying with that one. But they vary in length. So the amount of time varies as well. So that's why I don't tell you in advance how much time is on each one. But so anyway, like I said, I will work on updating those quiz, the due dates on everything this week end. So you don't have a quiz for this first week anyway. So I will work on updating those the dates this weekend. Classroom management, IRIS modules, I'll explain that in just a second. Then we have 4 major projects on top of the IRIS. So your major assignments for our class are going to be your IRIS modules, your 4 projects, and then your quizzes for our class. So give me just one second. My dog wants out. Let me open the door for him. Hold on. You want out, puppy? Go ahead. Sorry, he was sitting there at the door. So, and I will explain each one of these assignments when we get to that major assignments. I just wanted you to know what the course format was. Field experience hours. Okay, so this is where I'm going to lose popularity points already on the first night of class. So let me explain, and I will say there's a method to the madness. So in most of your UC classes, you are probably used to being able to do anything listed in that graduate student list of approved field experience opportunities, and you just do them and turn them in. I'm not that person, but I have a reason for that. Our whole course is about student behavior, right? And so you can't get that just from a book. That would be, in my opinion, and that is just my opinion, that would be like trying to learn how to drive a car from the trunk. You got to get in there, right? You got to be in that front seat. So we have major class assignments, and there's a method to that madness as well. Your first major assignment is the IRIS modules that address classroom behavior, classroom management, a comprehensive classroom management plan. So they go over what that is, what goes into one. Your next major assignment then is where you create a comprehensive classroom management plan. The next assignment then is looking at how do we determine reinforcers, appropriate reinforcers for students. So you're administering a forced choice survey, reinforcer survey. You don't have to create it, it's already done. You're administering, tabulating, and analyzing it. From that, once we looked at reinforcers, then we're looking at collecting behavior. So you're looking at going into the classroom on 4 occasions and looking at behavior for frequency, for duration, for latency, and then you have a choice for either momentary time sampling or interval recording. It's okay if that's all Greek right now. I promise I will explain it later, not tonight, but I promise I will explain that all later. And then the culminating is where we take all of that together. So we're looking at a functional behavior assessment and a behavior intervention plan. Pseudo. We are not doing a full-blown one because there's all kinds of things that need to go into it that we just simply cannot make happen in our 8-week online class. So again, it's about that foundational understanding. So we're not doing a full-blown FBA, which would require parent permission, as well as rating scales and all kinds of other things. We're doing a pseudo FBA, like I said, for the foundational skills. So in order to get the things that we need, so if you looked at the syllabus and you look at the learning targets, you look at the objectives that are set forth for our course, the assignments support those things. And so if you're going to have to go into the classroom to do those assignments, in my mind, it only makes sense then that those assignments are how we earn our field hours. To me, it does not make sense that if you need to do these assignments, that you're going to go in the classroom and do these assignments and do separate field hours. So I've aligned them together. So for our class, the university says you must have 15 field hours. That's by university. Carolyn Kennedy says for our class, we will accrue those 15 hours through our major course assignments. And there's a video for that. There's a video for everything. But I will go through all of that and explain it all. So for those 15 hours, the comprehensive classroom management plan. So for 3 hours, you can either observe observe classroom management, talk to teachers about what has worked for them, what doesn't, what do they use for classroom management, what strategies do they use. Hey, Destiny, welcome back. So it can be a combination for that assignment of either conversation solely or observing classroom management solely, or a combination of the two. If you are a teacher of record, yes, you can accrue the hours in your own classroom, all right? Can I use some of these things in my class I actually teach? Absolutely. Yes, Miranda, absolutely. You can absolutely do it. So if you are already a teacher of record, you can do all of this in your classroom with your students and get your principal to sign off on that form for you. And I am perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. So 3 hours is the classroom management. The next one is our, I am a full-time teacher, but we are going into finals next week. Ooh. So yeah, that might be interesting, Lauren. LR, we'll talk at the end of class. What if we are getting ready to start testing? The same thing that she was asking about. So the question is, would you be able to get into classroom to observe before then? Also, is there summer school going on or extended school year services, anything of that nature where you would still be able to get into a classroom where there could be behavior to observe? And I will tell you, it's always a struggle with the summer semesters. Always a struggle with the summer semester. I am teaching summer school. Then Kelsey, you've got it. Everybody just go see Kelsey. Kelsey, where are you? Everybody just going to come see. Bring her chocolate and go see. chocolate and coffee, and go see Kelsey, Harlan County. All right, so road trip, I can observe it in elementary school, but we'll have to cram. Got you. So the good thing about that, what I'm going to explain in a second, is there are already videos prepared for you for every single assignment. So what you can do is a marathon watching videos, and it tells you exactly what you need to do for every single major assignment, so you can go ahead and jump on those. I know there was one person who had emailed me and asked me about the field hours, and I apologize that I did not email you back, but I was working on tweaking things. And so that's why I didn't email you back, because I couldn't give you a date for when that was going to be ready, because like I said, I was working on it up until about 2:30 this morning. So, and I don't remember who it was that emailed me. I'd have to check. But that was the reason. So that one I read, but the reason I didn't get back to you because I was waiting to finish to give you a date. And so the date is today while we're in class, that now it's available for you. So like I said, about 2:30 this morning is when I finished. So I haven't been to sleep yet from last night. Not yet. So needless to say, once we finish class, I'm going to bed. So 3 hours for the classroom management, 3 hours for the reinforcer survey. You would talk to a teacher about what they use to reinforce students, what type of reinforcement schedules they've used, how they determine appropriate reinforcers. You would administer a forced choice survey, say that 5 times fast, that's already available for you on our iLearn page. You will administer that to at least 10 students. You will then tabulate your results, and then you will then share those results with the teacher. So the field hours for that isn't for tabulating. The field hours are for the discussion with the teacher on the front end, for administering the survey to the students, and then for the discussion with the teacher on the back end. So that's the 3 hours for that one. Yes, you can absolutely use your students for that one, Emily. Absolutely. The next one is a huge one. It's the data collection. That's the one I was talking about. You'll be going into the classroom to observe behavior 4 times. So that one is actually 6 hours of the 15. 1 hour for conversations with teachers in advance about the a teacher or multiple teachers, your choice, about behaviors that they're seeing in the class. So you can look for, once we get to that, you'll understand that only certain behaviors can be collected certain ways. So like say, for example, if I'm doing frequency is literally a tally count. I'm counting how many times a behavior occurred. So if I've got a student who has a temper tantrum that lasts for 45 minutes, it's not as significant to say, there was one tantrum, one, like the count from Sesame Street. What's significant is that it was 45 minutes, right? So for that, it wouldn't be appropriate to count frequency. For that, it would be more appropriate to count duration. So you've got to match the type of collection to the behavior that you're looking at. So you will talk to a teacher in advance. And if you're doing this with in your own class, talk to your colleagues about what you're doing. And that counts as your time for that discussion for the before and the after. Like I said, you're going to collect 4 different samples of data. And like I said, we'll explain all that later, not tonight. And then you'll share the results. And then for the FBA BIP, 1 hour discussion beforehand, 1 hour for observation, and then 1 hour for sharing the results after the fact. So you're actually observing behavior, specifically behavior, 5 times. And you're actually observing or discussing classroom management for 3 hours. So, and then the other part is the sharing of results, or the getting the preloading or the front loading to be able to do those assignments. So like I said, there's a reason that I'm not just because I'm anal retentive and I want to be, the dictator. And that's not the reason why I don't allow you to just do whatever's on that list. It's about making sure that you're getting from this class what you need in order to meet the learning objectives for the course. So that's the purpose for that. I'm an EBD past teacher currently. Do I have to get new data, or can I use data that we've already collected on my students? Christopher, let's talk about that at the end. So stay with me at the end. So again, field hours, 15 hours is required by the university. I aligned what those 15 hours are, but 15 hours, I didn't come up with the number. 15 hours was required by the university. We are using the iLearn Dropbox form for field experience. So the field experience submission, iLearn Dropbox form. Some people are still looking at that old electronic timesheet that we used to use. That one's supposed to have gone away a few years ago. So it should be the form that says iLearn Dropbox form. So it's field experience submission, iLearn Dropbox form. And you are still submitting it for the university as well. So regardless of if you're track this or track this, A or B, doesn't matter. You're still doing the same thing because they're tied to our assignments. What does matter, or what is differentiated, is that if you are a teacher of record, you can absolutely do all of those within your classroom. Not a problem. All of those within your classroom. If you're a substitute teacher right now, I don't have a problem with you doing it then, as long as the principal will sign off for you. If you're a paraprofessional, I don't have an issue with you doing them in the classrooms that you're in and then signing off on them. If you are none of those things, then you would have to work with the principal to be able to find time to be able to come into the classroom to observe. The university is requiring the principal permission form. So even if it's your school, you need to get the principal to sign off on it because we're counting it as field hours. So you will need to do a principal permission form, and that's available for you in the field experience folder for the hours that, for all of the hours that you are observing at the school. So university policy says you cannot, not you might not, you cannot earn a passing grade without completing the 15 required hours. The university says cannot. So just saying. And I give you 50 points for the principal permission form, and I give you 50 points for submitting your field hours, even though you earned in grades for each of those major assignments. So like I said, you're going to be doing those major assignments anyway, so I've just aligned the two together. Hope that makes sense. If you've got questions, see me after class. Writing expectations. What I'm about to say, I don't say to insult anyone's intelligence, at least not intentionally, but I say it because it's came up multiple times. Kind of like the cup of coffees now have to say, caution, contents are hot. So I have had several students in the past, before I started making the statement, who on my rubrics, because I'm OCD, so the rubrics detail everything, the rubrics will say writing expectations. And I would have people who would copy and paste from my syllabus and put it into their assignment. I'm not asking that you give me the writing expectations. I'm asking that you demonstrate that you've met the expectations. And like I said, I don't say that to insult anyone's intelligence. Had it only been one student, I wouldn't even mention it. I've had multiple that would copy and paste that into their assignment. And it's like, I don't want you to show me that you found it in the syllabus. I want you to show me that you have met those expectations. So this bothers me every time I upload it. I promise you, in my PowerPoint, those numbers are aligned. But this makes me twitch just looking at it because nothing is aligned. All right. So as I was saying before, the course is worth a total possible 1,000 points. And yes, that's intentional too, because it makes the math easy. All right. Makes the math easy. So I know as graduate students, you want to know, what do I have to do to get that A? You need 900 points. So 90% of 1,000 is 900. To get a B, 80% of 1,000 is 800. To get a C, 70% of 1,000 is 700. We don't want to talk about anything below that. We don't want to talk about anything below that. So attendance and participation, like I said, that's your exit tickets, 5 points per week at a total for 40. 4 discussion boards for a total of 70. I know you're thinking that's not equal math. One of them is worth more than the others because there's more involved in it. So I try to honor the work that you're putting into it. Quizzes there's 6 quizzes, 20 points each, regardless of the number of questions, because it made the math easy, to be honest. So that's 120 points. The Iris Kahoot, which I'll talk about in a second, not the Kahoot we're doing in class tonight, but the one you're doing on your own for that assignment, is worth 70 points, and not because it's difficult, but because of the time that it takes you to do it. Not that the Kahoot is long, but the time it will take you to go through the module. And so I wanted to be respectful and honor it and acknowledge that time investment. Our course, you guys, I'm going to be upfront and honest with you, it's not hard, but it is time and labor intensive. And so I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's not, but it's not hard, but it is time and labor intensive. My goal is for you all to do well. I don't give grades, but I don't do well with failing either. And the reason for that is because I feel like if my students fail, then I have failed, and I don't handle failure well. Yes, I know that's a me thing. You're thinking, God, she is messed up. Anyway, but yeah, so I don't handle failure well. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get a grade. But that means that I will do everything I can to support you. So I am here to absolutely support you. And like I said, though, it's not hard. It is labor and time intensive, but it's definitely not difficult. So the Iris modules, like I said, I'm honoring your time. And that's the reason why you're getting 70 points for a Kahoot. The Kahoot is literally 20 questions on a Kahoot game. So the 20 questions are 3.5 points each in order to make that math work. So you're getting 70 points. And like I said, not because the Kahoot is hard, but because of the amount of time that it takes to go through the 2 modules. I'll explain, I promise. And there's a video for that. You filled in permission form. Field experience, like I said, is on the permission form from the principal is 50 points. Submitting your actual iLearn Dropbox form detailing the 15 hours assigned that are aligned to the major course assignments. I'm telling you right now, if you submit field experience that's not aligned to it, I'm not even grading it. So it must be aligned to our major course assignments, and that's 100 points just for, yeah. And then the classroom management project, 100 points. Reinforcer survey project, 100 points. The data collection, because it's so involved, 200 points. And then your signature assessment for this class is 150 points. And it is an FBA, pseudo, behavior intervention plan based on that FBA, and then a video presentation, which is the reason why I'm forcing for our first discussion board for you to introduce yourself on video with a template. Because what you're doing for that discussion board 1 will mirror what you need to do for that FBA and BIP video presentation. So I wanted to be intentional, just like with us incorporating Kahoot tonight. I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to practice making that video, making yourself visible while I can see your PowerPoint or your PDF. So that way, if you ran into issues now, that's on a discussion board that's worth 15 points. And as opposed to waiting till the end and running into a problem then when it's worth 150 points. So like I said, definite madness, but there's a method to the madness. There's a reason behind it. So questions, comments, concerns. Preguntas o comentarios. Questions or comments at this point. And I've got to pick it up. I'm talking too much. I'm going to run out of time. Awesome. All right. So let me move this on just a little bit more. So we had no questions. I said, meet the professor. I've told you about myself. And I've told you a little bit about our class, right? What our class is and what it isn't. So we're going to talk now about major assignments. Then we're going to jump directly into discussion of chapter 1. I will tell you the normal class, I usually include a stretch break between topics, at least one, a break. Well, I include the option for the class to vote on a break because I believe in a democratic society. But because of the amount of things that we need to cover on week 1, I don't. So I'm a little bit of a dictator tonight, but we're going to make it. It's going to be all right. So our major assignments. First of all, I will tell you I use a PC. If you're using a Mac, that's perfectly fine. However, you must create anything that's iOS into either Word format. I cannot open anything that's iOS. So if you send me something that's iOS, I can't grade it. So just letting you know on the front end, I'm a little addicted to purple, so that's why everything's here in purple. I try not to do things in red, so it's in purple. I cannot open anything that's in iOS format or any other creative, strange format. So it needs to be Microsoft Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, or not Google, because I don't want to have to go to Google and open it. Yeah, so not Google, or either created in a PDF. Quizzes, like I said, there's 6. They're worth 20 points each. There is not a video for quizzes. I'm not going to make a video and insult your intelligence to tell you how to do a multiple choice and true-false quiz. Not doing it. So all of the other major assignments, I've made a video for you, but not for the quizzes, all right? Because, yeah, like I said before, 6 quizzes, 20 points each, total of 120 points. The quizzes will never populate until after we've discussed the content. So your first quiz, you actually have 2 next week. Don't panic. One is over chapters 1 and 2 together. One is over chapter 3. Tonight we're discussing chapter 1, if I can get through it. And then next week we're discussing chapters 2 and 3. So the quiz won't even populate until after we have finished discussing chapter 3. So they'll populate once that's over. There is a folder on our iLearn page that says quizzes. If you open it now, it should be empty for you. Should be. I may have forgotten to make something invisible. So there might be something in there. Don't take it yet. But anyway, I'll be fixing the dates on those and everything over the weekend. So those are the only things I didn't get adjusted yet in the grade book. Like I said, 2 chances to take everything. Quizzes will disappear. So not like the day they're due, because like I said, I understand you're adults and life happens. So not the day they're due, but they will disappear. So make sure that you don't forget about them. Iris modules. So I do not work for Vanderbilt. I don't make any money by using their resources. I was first introduced to Vanderbilt as a graduate student at ETSU. Vanderbilt University, their Peabody School of Education, offers a plethora of information. They call it the IRIS modules. Don't ask me why IRIS, I don't know. But IRIS modules on everything from differentiated instruction to RTI to information about disabilities and working with children with disabilities, how to make an instructionally appropriate IEP, a plethora of information, early literacy, all kinds of stuff. And they actually have several that align perfectly to our class. So in the months that we've had to do alternate field hours, I used their PD to count as our alternate field hours since we couldn't get into the classroom. However, the classroom management parts 1 and 2, all right? These are 2 modules that I want you to go through. You're not completing any questions. You're not doing anything else. I want you to read through all of it, and I want you to read through it well, so that way you have that information, all right? So all of the modules are formulated the same way, and you might be thinking, where do I find that? So I've included for you on here, this is a screenshot. Like I said, this PowerPoint will be available for you where you go on our iLearn in order to find that. So on our iLearn page, you'll see that I've got arrows pointing here in the PowerPoint to tell you exactly where you need to go, exactly where you need to look. And then you'll see the one there on the other side is pointing to a video link. There's a video that walks you through that assignment. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to explain it to you tonight. What I will tell you though, again, please read the syllabus before you do that assignment. Just saying. There's a piece of information in that syllabus that will help you with that assignment. And next week, I'm going to ask you if you found it. So read that. Yeah, read that. I thought so too, Charles. So no quiz after class tonight. No quiz tonight. No quiz tonight. I thought the IRIS modules were the hours, and I submitted a list of those modules and hours. I will correct this. Charles, don't apologize. Like I said, the problem is that I uploaded my shell from last semester, and last semester we were still doing alternate hours. So like I said, I didn't finish adjusting stuff. So if anyone's going to apologize, Charles, it should be me. So do not apologize for that. Not your fault. So like I said, I uploaded my shell from last semester, but then it takes time to go in and change every single thing. And the problem is when I upload it, of course, everything that we used last semester is going to be active. So like I said, that has been corrected as of 2:30 this morning. But yeah, do not apologize. That's on me, not on you. So that IRIS assignment, so quizzes and IRIS assignment, our first two major assignments. Those IRIS assignments, not a problem, Charles, not a problem. Like I said, I apologize for having you do things that you didn't need to do. So you already did all of the IRIS modules? Or are you just talking about the two on the behavior? You did 15 hours of IRIS already? Hey, Marie, welcome back. Oh, good gosh, Charles, we might need to talk. Okay, all right, yeah, we might need to talk. So the IRIS assignments that you're going through, that these two, the classroom management part 1 and part 2, are all about a comprehensive classroom management plan. So once you've learned that information, you're then going to apply it. So you're going to create for me, well, for your class, a comprehensive classroom management plan. It's a PowerPoint, not a formal paper. You won't be glad, at least I will hope you be glad. We don't have a formal paper in this class. You don't want to write one, I don't think, and I don't want to grade them. So we don't have a formal paper. They can do that in another class. We don't have a formal paper. Just saying. So the classroom management is so like the first assignment, quizzes, multiple choice, true, false. Discussion boards, yes, you're writing for those, but they're discussion boards. Multiple choice, true, false quizzes. The IRIS is a Kahoot. The classroom management plan, like I said, is a PowerPoint, and yes, there is a video for that. And so this slide will show you exactly where to find that video. I've uploaded, I use Vidyard for my videos just because that's what I've used for years. And then to make sure that everyone can open them, I upload from Vidyard into YouTube. I'm not telling you that's what you need to do. I'm just telling you that that's what I do. I happen to like Vidyard. I don't pay for it, and it doesn't cut me off. I know like Loom, the free, I think is very, very short for the free version, but you can use anything that you want for your videos. That's up to you. The next assignment is a reinforcer survey. Again, I'm not going to read through this because of the sake of time. There's a forced choice survey that you will be administering to students. Again, that is available for you, or the video is right here. There's also a rubric. So there's not a rubric for the multiple choice true false quizzes. There's not a rubric for the Kahoot because it's a Kahoot. All of the other major assignments, there is a rubric, and it is as detailed as I am. And there's also, like I said, a video for that as well. And so there's resources that will probably answer. I tried to anticipate before making the video every question that you might have. And often when new questions come up, I'll go back and create a new video, which, like I said, is another reason why I was working on it till 2:30 this morning, because I was still adding stuff from the last semester where questions that came up. So all of it's there. If you run into something that I don't address, let me know. But so when you need help, check the video. Data collection project, like I said, that's a huge one. Our chapter 4 discusses all those different types of data collection. So when we get to chapter 4, we'll be talking about that in length. But also I do a deep dive in the video for the data collection project. So you will see that there is a link here, tells you again where to find that video as well. Like I said, this PowerPoint will be available for you after class tonight. I figured that it was way too much information if people were to try to go to it beforehand. So that's why I didn't have it up for you, open for you to be able to explore before class. So And I figured this might need some explaining. So I could be wrong, but I thought it might need some explaining. So the data collection. Emily, the video should tell you everything you need. The video should, well, yes, absolutely. Functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plan. So again, like I said, that's our culmination signature assessment. It takes into consideration looking at the management, the behavior structures that need to be in place for the student on the front end. Because if we can prevent the behavior, it's much better than having to respond to it. So looking at that classroom management, then looking at determining what kind of reinforcers are we going to offer for the student, and then looking at what data did we collect based on the behavior of the student. So like I said, very intentional. Every single assignment leads into that culminating assignment. So it's, like I said, method to the madness. I don't believe in busy work because, yeah, I don't believe in busy work. So again, like I said, our signature assessment is a combination of those. All right, I'm trying, y'all. All right, let's get through this quickly. So told you about myself, told you what our course is, what it is not. We talked about our major assignments, which were quizzes, the IRIS assignments or the IRIS modules on classroom management, parts 1 and part 2. Then we've got the classroom management comprehensive plan. We've got the reinforcer survey, the data collection project, and then the FBA BIP video presentation as our signature assessment. So like I said, normally we take a stretch break. We don't have time for that. So I'm going to keep it moving, and we are going to, unless anyone has any questions. If anybody has any questions, I will slow down for a moment. All right. So let's jump quickly, because like I said, for the sake of time, I told you our text is called Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis for Teachers. So where does that come from? What is that based on? Thank you so much, Destiny. So that's what we're looking at. We're going to do a quick look through chapter 1. So when we think about trying to define that paradigm, what lens are we looking through? So for tonight and our next 7 nights together after tonight, I will tell you there are different schools of thought. There are. But for our class, for our purposes, we're going to be looking through the singular lens of ABA. Why? Not saying that no one else is right and ABA is the holy grail. Not saying that. I will say that ABA is the most often used in like the educational setting, to my knowledge. To my knowledge. So we're looking through that lens. So that's what we're looking at. We're having to wrap our brains around what lens are we looking through when we're thinking about, so we're talking about human beings. And so when we're talking about human behavior, how do we figure that out? What lens are we looking through? What criteria helps us to be able to determine what we're analyzing or looking at in regard to behavior? So we need a description or explanation or definition that is inclusive. In other words, it covers a substantial amount of behavior. We need something that has some degree of verifiability. In other words, where there's some way I can test a little bit to determine, you know, hey, am I sure about this? Can I rule this out? So in other words, can I rule out factors? Predictive utility, and I know I'm not saying the glass, you know, the crystal ball, not saying that, but does the lens that we're looking through help us to have an understanding, or at least some sort, there's no absolute because we're talking about human beings, but at least some degree of expectation of how that individual is going to behave under certain circumstances. In other words, what is going to be typical for that child, for that individual. And then parsimonious, big $12 word, that means simple. Is it the simplest explanation we can look at for what our purposes are? So our text talks about the biophysical and biochemical, right? So if you think back to your biology class from high school, and you might have remembered, you know, doing that experiment where you talked about, you know, parents, the color of your parents' eyes, your mom's eyes, color of your dad's eyes, and what color, you know, your eyes were going to be. So when you think about that whole Punnett square, and you put in, you know, the recessive genes and the dominant genes and all of that other information, and so when I say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, when we're saying, you know, the child, you know, sometimes mirrors or at least has traits similar to the parent. That's absolutely true. So there are some things that are because of genetics, whether dominant or recessive genes, combination thereof. So there are absolutely things that come from the genetics. Also, we can think about the way the brain works, the biochemical makeup of the brain. So the brain is all about the axons and the neurons and all of these things, the synapses firing in a beautiful work concert to make things work, to be able to process, you know, at lightning speeds. So whenever there's something that interferes with that functioning of the brain, and you have to understand that we as a people only understand about, they said that the average person uses about 10% of the brain. So we only understand so much about the brain, which is why we do such a poor job with helping individuals with mental health, because we don't know, which is why so many individuals end up either medicated or institutionalized because we understand so little. Not saying we don't understand anything and not saying we aren't making gains, but when you think about the average person only uses about 10% of their brain, think about how much we don't understand, right? Because we are part of that average, only using 10% of ours. So anyway, so when we think about something that interferes with that ability of the brain to function as it was designed or as it should be, whether that be from a traumatic brain injury, whether that be from some kind of a disease that causes swelling on the brain, hemorrhaging, or anything of that nature that can affect that chemical functioning, that brain function of the brain. So anything, like I said, traumatic brain injury that results in some type of damage to the brain, that can impact behavior. Even diabetic. I'm diabetic, and if the blood sugar is too out of whack, that can impact behavior. So anything that's working as far as, like I said, that chemical work. But when we think about the criteria that we've laid out, is it inclusive? Not so much. Is it predictive? Not really. Parsimonious? I don't know anything about, like I said, we understand 10% of the brain. So how can that be the simplest, right? Fairly verifiable, but not good enough. So we're going to keep looking. So then we're going to look at, and this is the information I said that's great for if you haven't yet taken your practice on that involves educational psychology. So the text does a great job of looking at the developmental explanations for human behavior, does a great job of comparing Freud to Piaget and looking at their different stages. And so the text does a great job of laying those out against each other and looking at how those two work at a great comparison. But remember that we said that one of the criteria was parsimonious, or something that's simple. I have never heard the name Freud and the word simple in the same sentence unless the word not was between them. Spoiler alert, just saying. So if we think about inclusive, yeah, absolutely. Predictive, somewhat. Definitely not parsimonious, so not simple, and definitely struggled in the area of being able to verify things. Our text then goes into talking about the cognitive explanations for human behavior. So we talk about Gestalt, we talk about Bruner, we talk about constructivism. Inclusive, yes. Our other qualities, not so much. So then we get on to, if I can hit my arrow, the behavioral explanation. So there's a couple of tenets, and this is the lens that we're going to be focusing on. This is the lens that we're going to be looking through. Like I said, I'm not saying there are other ways, but we're looking at, we said ABA for teachers. So we're looking at it in the educational setting, what makes the most sense for us to be using as our definition, as our paradigm, as our way of looking at things. And so, like I said, we're looking at ABA as the lens that we're looking through, and we're looking at the behavioral explanation. So we have to understand that from that lens, there's a few tenets that we have to, whether we agree with them or not, we have to accept the fact that that's what this explanation is based on. So we can debate all day, and I'd be right there with you debating that first statement that all behavior is learned. Because I'm sure there are people that are going to say, no, there's things that we do instinctively. There's things that we do innately that we don't have to think about, that it's just automatic. You know, they'll talk about how a baby cries. The baby doesn't know that, you know, at first, if I cry, you're going to pick me up. So I'm not here to say that this is 100% that I completely agree. I agree to a degree. But to understand that for the lens that we're looking through, this is what behaviorism, the behavioral explanation is based on. So all behavior is learned. Behavior must be both observable and measurable, and that we're looking at the present. And when we say the present, we're looking at the antecedent, another big word that means that which came before the behavior that we're talking about, the behavior itself, and then the consequent. Not necessarily consequence, but consequent. And that consequent isn't necessarily I gave Charlie Brown detention, or I made Charlie Brown, clean up the mess that he made, or I called Charlie Brown's mom. Not necessarily that kind of a consequence. But what happened immediately after that behavior, planned or not planned, that's going to serve as a reinforcer for that child, either to increase the likelihood that they're going to continue to display that behavior, or decrease the likelihood if they're going to continue to display that behavior. So, for example, if the function of my behavior is I'm seeking to gain peer attention, and we'll talk about function of behavior in chapter 7, but if I'm seeking to gain the attention of my peers, and so I'm making inappropriate bodily noises and inappropriate jokes in class. Now, if my peers shut me down and say, you shouldn't do that, that's disrespectful. How dare you do that? If they shut me down, I'm likely not to do it again. The teacher shut me down, that might not matter. But if my peers, if I'm looking for their approval and their attention, and they shut me down, I'm probably going to stop. If they start laughing right along with me, egging me on, that's just going to reinforce my behavior, and I'm going to continue to do that, or likely to continue to do that. So if I can click on this arrow. So some of the things that are involved in the behavioral explanation, we'll be looking at positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, which people often confuse, and we'll get to that another night, punishment, and extinction. So those are some of the areas that we will be looking at. So when we think about antecedent, it's a beautiful thing when we can determine what that is. Again, like I said, that's what came before. Some people will call it the trigger. So if we can figure out what it is that is triggering the behavior, what it is that is causing that behavior, and if we can control that, it's a beautiful thing. But what we need to understand is that there are many, many times when we can't figure out what that is. So like I said before, the typical human uses about 10% of their brain. But the brain is a very powerful thing. And so I'm sure you've heard about how people are in therapy and suddenly they're uncovering repressed memories that they didn't even know that they had repressed. It's not like I woke up this morning and said, I'm never going to remember this again. And I can intentionally tell myself that I'm going to intentionally forget something. But sometimes our brain knows what we can and we can't handle. And sometimes it suppresses the memory. Like I said, not necessarily because I want it to, not necessarily because I'm even aware of it. But I might walk into your classroom and you say good morning. And I cuss you out, or that student cusses you out, right? And you're thinking, what did I do? I said good morning. And that child might not even know why they don't trust you. That child might not even know why they have a sudden dislike for you, a sudden hate for you. They might not know why. When they look at you, they start to shake. They start to feel anxious. The beads of sweat break out on the top lip. It could be those glasses that you're wearing. It could be that shirt. It could be something about that smile or that laugh or that smirk. It could be that cologne or that perfume that you're wearing. And they're not even sure why, but they just know that there's something in you, something about you that when they saw you, immediate freeze, flight, fight, but something triggered in them. And they might not even know why. So when we can figure out that antecedent, we can do something about it. But the thing to be aware of is that sometimes we can't figure it out because they can't even figure it out. So they may not even be aware. Because like I said, it's not something that I can wake up and tell myself, I'm going to intentionally forget today, right? So when we can control it, when we can figure it out, beautiful thing. All right. So for our purposes, nothing is perfect. But like I said, for our purposes for tonight and the next 7 weeks, we will be looking through the singular lens of ABA and looking at human behavior based on the behavioral explanation. All right. So in comparison, it's the best one for our setting, according to our text. And I agree with that part. You have the right to agree or disagree, but that's still the lens we're looking through. So if you think about behaviorism, you're probably going to think about Pavlov and the salivating dogs, how at first he could pair the bell with the food and have the dogs to salivate. And then eventually he could have just the bell, and even without the food, the dog still had that same response. So that conditioning of that response. Text talks about Thorndike and the associations of looking at law of effect, law of exercise, and the association between situations and our responses to them. Text talks about John Watson, who was actually given credit as having coined the term behaviorism, talking about observable behaviors, and then their emotional responses. Talks about Skinner and looking at voluntary behaviors and how we can look at things in the environment to help us to, and this is what we're talking about in chapter 7, manipulating or changing things in the environment to help us to try to isolate, try to come up with a good hypothesis, and I say hypothesis, of what we believe the child's function of behavior is. All right. So for our text, for our purposes, ABA, applied behavior analysis, is the process of applying sometimes tentative principles. And yes, that runs all over my OCD, but it is what it is. And we have to, we're talking about human beings. It's trial and error. Even if I can't stand it, it's trial and error. That's, there isn't a instruction manual for every person that was born. So yes, Aaron, go ahead. Aaron, you had your hand up. Did you have a question? Not a problem. So ABA, like I said, is about applying sometimes tentative principles of behavior in order to look to improve specific behaviors. And at that same time, continue, of course, to collect the data and evaluating that data to try to determine if what we've put into place, the interventions, the strategies, the programs, the things we've put into place, if that is truly because of, if that's truly the reason that the behaviors change, or is it coincidental? So that's kind of like where we talk about the verifiability piece. Chapter 1. Preguntas or comentarios del capítulo 1. Questions or comments on chapter 1? So I welcomed you to class. Bienvenidos. Welcome to the class. I've told you a little bit about myself. Told you about what our class is, what our class isn't, the structure of our class, how it's made up, how you get that A, that 900 points. Told you about what to expect. We agreed on our class norms. We discussed our major course assignments. Again, the fact that there's 6 quizzes, multiple choice, true, false, don't stress. That we have the classroom management assignments from the 2 IRIS assignments that you'll do, and then you'll do the Kahoot based on those. Second major assignment, classroom management project based on that, reinforcer survey, data collection project, and then our culminating assignment of our FBA and BIP. So those are our major assignments. We've talked about the roots of applied behavior analysis, which is our chapter 1. I've asked if we've got questions. I did it quickly, but you had none, right? So if we look at our agenda, where we are on our agenda, you will have an exit ticket, and we're about to review for that. So go ahead and take out your computer or split your screen so we can get ready to do our Kahoot. Somehow or another, it has logged me off, so let me log back on. So I'm having to run 2 computers in order to be able to do this. So give me just 1 second. For next week, just so you know, because I'm going to ask you in the Kahoot, for next week, you're going to complete the exit ticket, obviously. You're going to read the syllabus closely before doing your other assignment. You're going to read chapters 1 through 3 of your text if you haven't got it, once you get it. And then once you've done that, you've got your discussion board, which is practice for your FBA, BIP video presentation. Like I said, there's a method to my madness. I want it all denied that I'm crazy, but there is a method to it. There's a reason behind it. And then you're doing those classroom management IRIS assignments, going through those 2. All right, so we are going to start our Kahoot, and so I'm starting it now. So if you will please go to kahoot.it, kahoot.it, or open the app if you've got that. I'm starting our classic mode now. It is generating my pin. I will post that for you and say it for you. And we are going to go through it. We might run out of time, but I want to at least get started on it. I'm not taking any points from the Kahoot tonight. Tonight's Kahoot was truly just for practice, to make sure that you were aware and understood Kahoot before you had to do it for your own assignment. So the pin number, and I'm typing it as I'm saying it, is 603-1446. 603-1446. So Idella, are you putting in, so you were typing that you were getting an error, I think, before we were there. Are you able to get in now? I've got 10 of you in, and we're going to go through this as quickly as possible for the sake of time.
I'm not in, but that's okay. Go ahead. I know how to use the thing. It's just, it's giving me an error.
Got you. So for your assignment, you need to make sure that you're able to log in, use your first and last name so that I can pull your points from that. So for the assignment, I will pull the report to get your points. For tonight, this is practice, all right? This is practice. So even if it won't let you do all of your last name, because it does limit, give me as much as it will take. So give me Kelsey, and then give me mid, or as much as it will get, as much as it will let you enter. So we are at 603-1446, and for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and get started because we are already at our time. So in order to honor your time, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't want to stay, I understand. If you do want to stay, I'm here. So if you need to log out because we have reached the time of our scheduled class, so if you want to log out, by all means, don't feel like you have to stay. I apologize that we're running a little bit over, but you're welcome to stay with us if you want to go through the Kahoot with us. So that's completely and totally your choice. No judgment whatsoever. So 603, make sure that you're going to kahoot.it, like I said, or on the Kahoot app. And again, the login is 603-1446. So I've got 22 out of the 30 that are in. So like I said, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and start. Like I said, if you need to log out, no judgment, go ahead, you're fine. So our first question, I'm going to display it here and I will read it out loud for you as well. The first question is, how many field/clinical hours are required for SPL635? Red says 0, blue says 10, yellow says 5, green says 15. How many hours are required for our course? Red 0, blue 10, yellow 5, green 15. How many hours are required for our class? Awesome. 24 out of you got that right. One person said 10 and one person said 5. So 15 hours are required. Not a problem, Caitlin. Like I said, Caitlin, I'm not pulling points from the Kahoot tonight. I'm truly doing it just for practice for tonight. Destiny said my dog voted. Okay, and Charles, you shouldn't even have to sign in. You should be able to use it as a guest. So right now, Simpson is in the lead. That's Christopher Simpson is in the lead. So we are moving forward. We're not going to celebrate yet because of time. So your next question is, what form do I use to document and submit my field hours? Remember, I mentioned the one that we used to use. So red says UC Field Experience iLearn Dropbox form. Blue says no form is required. Yellow says UC electronic timesheet. And green says an email will suffice. Destiny said he stepped on my phone. Well, he felt left out, Destiny. So what form do we use to submit our hours? Red is UC Field Experience iLearn Dropbox form. Blue says no form is required. Yellow says UC electronic timesheet. Green says an email will suffice. 24 of you, magic number, got that one correct as well. 3 of you said the UC electronic timesheet. That's the old form. That's the old form. So the new form is available for you in our Field Experience folder on our content page of iLearn. And Christopher Simpson has retained the lead, and we are moving on to the next question. So I read these off for you just a moment ago. What are our major course assignments? Denise says, I'm back in the game. What are our major course assignments? Listen carefully because some are partially correct. Red says IRIS module and exit tickets. Blue says attendance and participation. Yellow says IRIS module quizzes and 4 projects. Green says, what? Wait, are there assignments for this course? What are the major course assignments? Red, IRIS module and exit tickets. Blue, attendance and participation. Yellow, IRIS module quizzes and 4 projects. Green, what? Wait, are there assignments for this course? Awesome. 100% of you. Awesome. Yes, yes, yes. So we don't even need to talk about that one. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Simpson was just derailed. Christopher was just derailed by Marie. So Marie is now in the lead. All right, last question, because I only put 4 on here. So last question, what do I need to have done before next week's class session? Listen carefully, some are partially correct. Red says exit ticket. Blue says discussion board, exit ticket, and quiz 1. Yellow says discussion board and exit ticket. Green says discussion, read syllabus, and chapters 1 through 3, classroom management, IRIS, and exit ticket. What do I need to have done by next week's class session? Remember, I front loaded, so don't panic. I front loaded. Red is exit ticket. Awesome! 26 of you got that right. 2 people said the discussion board and exit ticket and quiz 1. Remember, quizzes will never open before we've discussed everything. So quizzes will not populate until after class next week. So there are no quizzes, but you do need to also read the chapters and read the syllabus, and you have the IRIS modules to complete. So for time's sake, 3rd place was Josh. Congratulations. 2nd place was Marie. Congratulations. And 1st place was, drum roll, Chris took that lead back. Congratulations, Christopher Simpson. Awesome. So just a reminder, we don't do the syllabus scavenger hunt. So that did not count as a grade. That was our review. So for our class, please make sure you go to the iLearn. Thank you, Christina. Go to our iLearn page. Go to content. You will see a folder in purple because I'm obsessed that says weekly exit ticket / chat sessions. Click on the week 1 exit ticket. It will ask you multiple choice, how many field hours? You're going to enter 15. What form must I use? You're going to click on the UC Field Experience iLearn Dropbox form. You're going to click on what are the major course assignments. You're going to click on the one that covers the fact that you've got to read the syllabus, read the chapters, do the exit ticket, the discussion board, and the Kahoot. I know that sounds like a lot. None of them are hard. Time, yes, not hard. The next one is what needs to be done. We just said that. And then will I be dropped? Possibly, yes. So that's what you need to do. I apologize. That's 6 minutes over. Like I said, I will do my best. I do apologize. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to learn alongside you guys tonight. Like I said, the videos, thank you, Stephanie. The videos will support you. Please watch the videos. Please read the syllabus, and please watch the syllabus. Read the syllabus, watch the videos. I will stay online. There was someone who had a question for me. I think, Charles, you and I need to talk. Otherwise, I'm going to say take care. God bless. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys next week. Good night, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Good night, you guys. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Anne-Marie.